Alright, hey guys, remember CCG back in the video. So earlier this week, I gave you guys a deck profile and 7 combos for Mermail Atlanteans, and I thought I wanted to put this all together here. So it's going to be a compilation of those 3 videos, just so you guys are able to access it a lot more easier and not having to go between the video. But besides that, let's get started here with the first combo. So we're going to get started here with the 1-card combo using Netabist. So previously this was an amazing Atlantean monster, and now it's even better, just because we have more targets that can get a lot more value out of it. So we're going to normal summon it here, and we're going to pitch ourselves the Mermail Shadow Bodyguards, get ourselves the Atlantean Dragoons. Atlantean Dragoons is pretty insane. If you guys don't know, this card just provides insane value just because there is no once per turn limit on this card. So you're just able to discard it and continuously use its effect. And the nice thing about it is that it says as long as it's being sent to the graveyard to activate any water monster's effect. So that means that you get more freedom outside of just discarding. So then we're going to go into our Mermail Abyss Spike, activate its effect, discard the Dragoons, get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit. This is one of the new Atlantean cards that we got here, and get ourselves the Deep Sea Minstrel. Then we're going to pitch the new Atlantean Spirit here and our Netabist in order to get ourselves the Mermail Abyss. Then we're going to be getting out our Dragoons from the grave, get ourselves Bahamut Shark, which of course will go into the Totally Awesome. Use the Atlantean Dragoon's effect here in order to get ourselves the Elemental Lord. So here we're going to try to get our graveyard to have 5 water monsters so that we're actually able to use the Elemental Lord. Then we're going to special summon out the Mermail Abyss. Use the effect here in order to get ourselves the Mermail Abyss Gund. Then we can special summon out the Elemental Lord. Use his effect here in order to get rid of 2 cards from our opponent's hand. They only have 1 here, but of course you can discard 2 random cards from their hand. So pretty insane just to nullify their hand and reduce it down to 3 cards. So then we're going to link away into Marinta's Coral Anemone. Activate its effect in order to go into the Mermail Shadow Bodyguards. Activate Bodyguard's effects by discarding the Abyss Gun, and this will trigger its effect as well. And then get ourselves the Abyss. Then we're going to link summon into the new Netabist, the Royal Mermail. Exceed into Mermail Abyss. And here we have a decent setup where Netabist is actually able to prevent these water monsters from being targeted. And then we have Totally Awesome here that prevents itself from, that of course is an Omni Negate and it takes the card. And we have the Mermail Abyss that's able to negate our opponent's board. So this is a lot more simple combo. This is if you don't want to go crazy overboard. You're going to see the final combo does really extend on this idea. But I thought this was a great way to just introduce you guys to the archetype. And with that, we're going to go to the next combo. Alright guys, so next combo that I have for you is another 1-card combo using Netabist. Like I said, this card is an important starter for the deck. We're going to normal summon it here, use the effect in order to pitch ourselves the Mermail Shadow Bodyguards, get our Atlantean Dragoons. Then, of course, get ourselves the Abyss Spike, activate its effect, pitch the Dragoons, get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit. Use Dragoon's effect here, get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit. Get ourselves a Deep Sea Minstrel. Get out Dragoons, go into Bahamut Shark. Activate Bahamut Shark, get ourselves Totally Awesome. And of course, like I said previously, the nice thing about our Atlantean Dragoons here is that because we are discarding it to activate the effect of Bahamut Shark, and it is a water monster, that will trigger its effect. So we're going to be doing that in order to search out our card. So now we can get ourselves the Ice Shade Ran Evergreen. So this is if you guys decide to run an Ice Shade engine. Just showing you guys the flexibility of this deck. And now because we have 5 cards in our grave, we're able to get ourselves the Elemental Lord and activate its effects here to make our opponent discard 2 cards. Then we can link away into our Abyss Alatia, and then we can go into our Ice Shade Gimmer Evergreen. So here it's a relatively simple setup. We have Totally Awesome. We do have the Mermail Abyss Alatia that's able to give our monsters an attack boost. And we can also, if we happen to have a card in our hand, we can send it from our hand to the grave and add a Mermail monster from our deck to your hand. And if this card is destroyed, you can send 1 water monster from your deck to the grave, then target 1 water monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So we have a few targets here in case you want to get that out. But besides that, we're really utilizing this in order to go to the Ice Shade Gimmer, which quick effect, you can activate its effect. Face of monsters you control cannot be destroyed or banished by your opponent's cards this turn, so it makes it very difficult for your opponent to interact with things after you activate this effect. Then if you activate this effect in response to your opponent's card or effect activation, and your opponent has cards with that name on their field and their graveyard, you can banish those cards. So it's a form of removal as well, depending on the timing, and you can see it's a non-target removal. So it's a pretty flexible boss monster you can just add into this deck. Even if you're not running the whole Ice Jade engine, it's just a lot easier to get out using that. But I thought it was a cool way to show you guys a little splash engine you could put in the deck. And let's go to the third combo that I have for you guys. Alright guys, before we go to the third combo, if you are enjoying the content, consider becoming a patron. For just $5 a month, you can get access to my Discord, and I can provide some deck building advice there. There's more tiers that influence the content I make, so make sure to check out my Patreon description down below if you guys are interested. If not, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and watch the other videos. It really helps a ton. But besides that, let's get started here with our 1.5 card combo. So again, we're going to be using the Neptibus. We're going to pitch ourselves the Dragoons. Fill up our hand here, use the Atlantean Spirit's effect in order to discard it and get ourselves a level 7. And this is a cool way of just using the Silicanth here. So then we're going to get ourselves the Abyss Gund. Go into the Marincis Core Anemone. Then we can discard a card. That's why we had that extra card here in order to get ourselves 2 Fishborg Harpooners. So this is just to fill up your hand, fill up your board with a bunch of fish monsters. And then we can go into our Adamantiator Dragite here, which is just a spell trap negate. Then we can go into Ib the World Chalice Justice here, just to search out our World Legacy Succession. And there's just like a Monster Reborn that you're able to get out with the deck. So it's a good way of using water monsters that are not conventionally accessible to you. So we're going to get these out. Then we're going to get into the Neptibus the Royal Mermail that I covered before. Use Bahamut Shark's effect, go into the Totally Awesome. Now we're going to discard our Shadow Bodyguards, and because we did use the effect to discard something, we can use the Royal Mermail's effect here in order to search out the Abyssca of the Mizuchi. And here we get ourselves Neptibus the Royal Mermail. We have our, which prevents our monsters from being targeted. We do have the Dragite that is a spell trap negate. We have Totally Awesome that is an Omni negate. And we have Mermail Biscayos that is able to negate the board. And of course, our Abyssca of the Mizuchi that's able to negate a spell. The first spell that our opponent happens to activate, this will negate it. But besides that, let's go to the final combo that I have for you guys. Alright guys, so the final combo that I have for you is a 1-card combo using Neptibus the Atlantean Prince. So like I said, this card's pretty insane, just provides really great value for the deck. We're going to be using it, pitch our Shadow Bodyguard. So you can see normally you want to pitch the Shadow Bodyguards or the Dragoons. In this instance, we're going to be pitching the Shadow Bodyguards and get the Dragoons into our hand. Then we can get ourselves the Abyss Spike here and use the effect to discard the Dragoons. Then get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit. And use the other one here in order to get ourselves the Elemental Lord. Then use Elemental Spirit in order to get rid of the Atlantean Prince and get ourselves the Abyss. And that'll trigger its effect here, and we can get ourselves Dragoon onto the board. Exceed Summon, go into the Bahamut Shark. Discard it in order to use Dragoon's effect. Or discard Bahamut Shark in order to special summon out Totally Awesome, but of course Dragoon's effect will go off. Then we can get ourselves a Deep Sea Sentry. Go into the Xyz Armor Force. Activate its effect in order to search out the Armored Shark, which is a new card that is also accessible for the Shark decks, but it's cool that you're able to use it in the Mermail Atlantean. Then because we have 5 cards in our grave, we can use, or 5 water monsters in our grave, we're going to be able to use the Elemental Lord, its effect. We're going to take 2 cards from our opponent's hands and get ourselves the Abyss. So this would actually trigger the Deep Sea Sentry's effect because it is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. You'll be able to make your opponent banish a card from their hand face up into the end phase, which could be relevant if they're holding on to something important. You could just take it away, but it will come back during the end phase, so it isn't too crazy. Then we're going to get ourselves the Mermail Bissosia. Activate the Coral Anemone's effect. Get ourselves the Shadow Bodyguards. Activate Shadow Bodyguard's effect, discard the Armored Shark, go into the Abysscaios, then Exceed into the Atlantean Dragon Deity. Then we can go into the Neptibus the Royal Mermail. This will trigger the effect of the Dragon Deity because if it is sent to the graveyard, you can discard 1 card to the grave and special summon 3 level 3 or lower fish, sea serpent, and or aqua monsters from your hand or grave. So it's pretty great just because they will not be negated. So we're going to get those out. And of course that'll trigger the effect of the Royal Mermail. And we're going to get ourselves the Abyss Sting of Triana, which is like a monster reborn for the archetype. Then we're going to use the effect of Armored Shark to get ourselves the Mermail Abyss Spike. Then we can Exceed into the new Levirtue Dragon. So this is a cool flexible water monster here, and it's able to search out an Icarus for water monsters. Essentially for water monsters, it's more like fish, sea serpents, aqua, but you know, a lot of water monsters fall under that category. Then we're going to be using the Monster Reborn here in order to get the Mermail Biscayos. And another cool thing with Liverture Dragon is that you're actually able to use the effect here in order to switch a material with another Exceed monster, or just switch between multiple Exceed monsters. So we're going to be using that in order to give Liverture Dragon. We're going to give Abyssgios one of Liverture Dragon's Exceed materials, and then we're going to set ourselves the Virtue Stream, which here, if you see, if you target one fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control, and 2 cards your opponent control, you can destroy it. So, like I said, it's an Icarus for fish, sea serpent, or aqua monsters. And what's cool is that it's searchable with Liverture Stream. Then we're going to be activating the effect of Atlantean Spirit. So that was pretty much our end board, but I'm just going to show you guys how to build some advantage during our opponent's turn. So here, because we triggered the effect of one of our monsters, we can actually use the Neptibus effect to get the Abyssgios of the Mizuchi, and this will give us a spell negate like we did previously, but we added on top of this by being able to revive our Abyssgios. So here we have Neptibus the Royal Mermail, which makes it so these cards cannot be targeted. We have Totally Awesome, that is actually able to be an Omni Negate and take one of those cards. We have Mermail Abyssgios, that is pretty insane just because it is able to detach Exceed material from this card and negate all of the face of monsters your opponent currently controls that has less attack than this card. And then we have the Mermail Abysslatia, which isn't doing anything too crazy, but if it happens to be destroyed, then you can send one water monster from your deck to the grave, then target one water monster in your grave and special summon it in defense, so it'll give you some form of protection. And of course we have the Virtue Stream that can pitch either the Liverture Dragon or the Mermail Abysslatia in order to pop 2 cards on the board. So again, a lot of value this card is able to provide here. And of course we have the Abyssgios of the Mizuchi that is a spell negate, and we did end with 2 cards in our hand. Pretty insane just from a 1 card combo. Let's get started here with the 1.5 card combo using Neptibus and any card to discard. So here we're going to normal summon the Neptibus, activate its effect in order to pitch the Shadow Bodyguards and search ourselves the Dragoons. Then we can use the Bodyguards effects in order to special summon Abyss Spike, activate Abyss Spike's effect to discard the Dragoons, get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit, and now Dragoon's effect will trigger. Then we can get ourselves the Elemental Lord. Now we can use the Atlantean Spirit and pitch our Neptibus here. It's important that you pitch that Neptibus because the effect will go off afterwards, and we can get ourselves the Abyssgios. Then we use Neptibus effect in order to get ourselves the Atlantean Dragoons, and that's perfect because they're both level 4s, and we can exceed into Bahamut Shark. Activate Bahamut Shark's effect, get ourselves the Totally Awesome. That will trigger Dragoon's effect once again, so we're going to use his effect here in order to get the Deep Sea Minstrel. Then we can use Abyssgios' effect by discarding the Deep Sea Minstrel. And now we can get ourselves the Abyss Gund. Get ourselves the Elemental Lord, get rid of 2 cards from our opponent's hands, then go into the Marince's Coral Anemone. Activate its effect in order to bring back the Shadow Bodyguard. So this is the cool thing about Marince's Coral Anemone with the Shadow Bodyguard here is that it does have 0 attack, so we can just bring it out. It uses this card effect, then we can use the Abyss Gun's effect to bring out the Abyss Spike. And now we can exceed, go into the Mermail Abyssgios. So of course I did use the Shadow Battle Guards here in order to level modulate, make them both level 7s, and then it makes it a lot easier to go into the Abyssgios. Now we can just exceed summon into the Atlantean Dragon Deity. And then after we do that, we just link away into the Neptibus, the Royal Mermail. Activate the Dragon Deity's effect in order to get 3 cards onto 3 monsters onto the board here. But we do have to discard a card, and that's why we needed the extra card. Doesn't matter what it is. In this instance, we're just going to be discarding the Murray of Greed. Now we're going to be using Deep Sea Minstrel's effect in order to just pitch a bunch of things, add something to the top of the deck. And now we can use the effect of Neptibus the Royal Mermail in order to search out the Abyss Sting of Triana. So the main thing is that you just want to trigger a Water Monster's effect just to get Neptibus' effect going. And then we can go into the Ravenous Croco Dragon. Activate its effect here because we use 2 non-tuners. We can draw 2 cards. And we can use the Abyss Sting of Triana in order to revive a monster here. In this instance, we're going to be reviving Dragoons. Then we can exceed, go into the Bahamut Shark. Use his effect once again, get ourselves a Totally Awesome. Activate Dragoon's effect, get ourselves a Heavy Infantry. And then here is just showing you the Atlantean Spirit. You can use the effect during your opponent's turn, get yourself some more value. And the main thing is that you want to trigger an effect just to get the Neptibus going, the Royal Mermail. Use the effect, and once again, get ourselves the Abyssgios of the Mizuchi. And of course, we were able to use the Heavy Infantry. If your opponent has something on the board, you can use that to pop something. But besides that, we do have Nephthybis, the Royal Mermail, that is able to protect these three monsters here. It did give us a spell negate as well. We don't have control over that, but that's fine. We have 2 Omni negates, and we have the Ravenous Crocodile Dragon that lets us discard 2 cards and target 1 card on the board and destroy it. So if you're desperate, you're able to do that as well. But you can see a good amount of interactions, and we had the heavy infantry that was able to pop something once it was discarded. But besides that, it's a pretty insane combo for just 1.5 cards. Alright guys, before I go to the second combo, if you are enjoying the content, consider becoming a patron. For just $5 a month, you can get access to my Discord, and I can provide some deck building advice there. There's some more tiers that influence the content I create, so just make sure to check that in the description down below. But besides that, let's get started here with a 1.5 card combo. These are just 3 cards, just to show you guys what we're going to be discarding on our opponent's board or hand before they even get to play. So this one's a pretty insane combo. So we're going to get started here. You're going to use Abyssius effect, just get rid of the Kaiju. So again, doesn't matter what it is, just has to be a water monster to discard. So and then we're going to get ourselves the Abyssosia and use this effect to get, or normal summon it out. We can use Abyssosia's effect to just get any monster that adds up to level 7 here. Then we just send that to the grave. You could go into either the Torpedo or the new Le Virtue Dragon. There's a good amount of value that you can get there with the Virtue Stream. Besides that, we can go up to Nephthys, the Atlantean Prince. Activate its effect, pitch ourselves the Atlantean Dragoons. Get ourselves the Atlantean Spirit. Use Dragoon, and then get ourselves the Elemental Lord. And of course, because we got it out, we have 5 monsters in our grave here. We can take away 2 cards from our opponent's hand. Then we're going to use the Atlantean Spirit's effect. Get ourselves the Abyss Lead. Use Nephthys' effect to get ourselves the Dragoons. Then we can go into Bahamut Shark. Activate Bahamut Shark, discard get rid of the Dragoons here in order to get ourselves a Totally Awesome. Activate Dragoon's effect, get ourselves a heavy infantry. Then we can go into the Princess Coral Anemone, bring out the Shadow Bodyguards, and it's important that you leave it in attack position here because of Abyss Lead's effect. Besides that, we're going to discard. Doesn't matter what it is, I just searched out the heavy infantry. If your opponent had something that you could have popped, that's nice. Besides that, we can use Abyss Lead's effect. We did level modulate before that because we do want to make sure that we're able to exceed afterwards, but we can use Abyss Lead's effect. You contribute 1 other attack position Mermail monster, send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the grave. So we're going to rip out another card from our opponent's hand. Go into our Dragon Deity here. Then we can link away, go into the Mermail King, activate Dragon Deity's effect, and you can see we discarded another card. These are still the 3 original cards that we had. We were just able to get a bunch of searches. Then get ourselves the Abyss Thing of the Triana. And now we can use the effect of Abyssmander here in order to level modulate them. Makes it easier to exceed, go into 2 Bahamut Sharks. Activate both of their effects. We can discard the Atlantean Dragoons in order to activate its effect. And here you can see I messed up the order a little bit, but you do want to summon the Bahamut Shark on the left here and then put Totally Awesome under the Mermail King, just so they has protection under his effect here. But besides that, you do get 3 Totally Awesomes, and you get the Nephthybis, the Royal Mermail. If you're able to trigger the Royal Mermail's effect, he is able to get yourself a spell negate. But besides that, we did rip 3 cards out of our opponent's hands, and we have 3 Totally Awesomes. And of course, if you position it right under the Nephthybis here, they will all be protected from targeting effects, which is pretty difficult for your opponent to get through, especially with 3 Omnis. But besides that, let's go to the final combo that I have for you guys. Okay guys, so the final combo that I have for you is just showing the flexibility of the deck, because a lot of the combos kind of rely on Nephthybis and ways of getting that out, which is pretty consistent. It's very easy to get Nephthybis out here, but I just wanted to show you one that doesn't necessarily use it. So we're going to be using Mermail Abyss Spike and the Mermail Shadow Bodyguards. So we're going to normal summon the Abyss Spike, use the effect here in order to get the Shadow Bodyguards into the grave. Activate Shadow Bodyguard's effect, get the Atlantean Prince. Atlantean's effect here to get the Dragoons into the grave and searches out another copy of Dragoons. Then we get the Elemental Lord. Use the Atlantean Spirit here and pitch the Nephthybis. That's important that it's Nephthybis so you can trigger its effect. Use Nephthybis' effect here in order to get Dragoons onto the board. Exceed summon, go into Bahamut Shark. Detach material, get ourselves Totally Awesome. Use the Dragoons here in order to search out the Deep Sea Sentry. Then we can exceed into Xyz's Armor Fortress. Activate Xyz's Armor Fortress here in order to get ourselves the Armored Shark. Go into the Elemental Lord. Take 2 cards from our opponent's hands. Discard for the Abyssius. Get it out. Then we can link summon into the Coral Anemone. Activate Coral Anemone's effect. Get ourselves the Shadow Bodyguard. Discard effect here. And then go into the Mermail Abyss Gaios. Exceed into the Dragon Deity. link away into the Mermail, the Royal Mermail. Then we can get ourselves the Shadow Bodyguards and the Armored Shark. And of course the Deep Sea Sentry. Now we're going to use the Deep Sea Sentry's effect, get ourselves the Dragoons back into the hand. And then because we triggered the effect of a water monster, we're actually able to get the Abyss Sting of Triana. And we of course got ourselves the Exceed Slide Dolphin. Then get ourselves the Abyss Spike, Exceed Summon into Live Virtue Dragon. And because we summon an Exceed monster, we can get Exceed Slide Dolphin out here. And here we get Virtue Stream. Virtue Stream is just very consistent and it's great to get out. It's just a great Icarus for the deck. And we're going to go into the Abyss Dweller and go into Mermail Abyss Giles. Then use Live Virtue Stream's effect, attach a material onto the Abyss Giles so that we're able to negate our opponent's board. And yeah, you can see we have a pretty powerful setup here. We have the Abyss Royal Mermail. Again, you can choose the positioning here a little better. If you want to protect the Abyss Giles, you can put him under the targeting effect. But besides that, Abyss Dweller, lock our opponents out of the grave. We do have the Totally Awesome, that is an Omnigate. We have the Virtue Stream that's able to pop 2 things on the board. We have the Mermail Abyss Giles that's able to negate our opponent's board here. And just a lot of effects here that are going to be pretty disruptive for your opponent. Of course, we rip 2 cards out of their hand using the Elemental Lord. And there's different routes that you can go with this deck. But this is the route that I wanted to choose just to show you guys for this one. But in the side deck, I'll cover a little bit of a different build. But let's get started here with the Elemental Lord. We're just able to get this out, rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. It's pretty insane. Abyss Lead here is a little bit of a flex spot. I think it's funny just being able to take an extra card from your opponent's hand, and it's relatively easy as well to do. Then we have the Mermail Abyss Megalo. It's a decent option if you're able to search something out. That's mainly what you're going to be using it for. And then Abyss Duel is insane. We run the 3 copies because you're going to see, if you've seen with the combos video, it just enables a lot of combos. So you really want to maximize seeing this. Same thing with the Atlantean Dragoons. This card is not a hard one to return. Very easy to just cycle this and get a bunch of effects out of this. Mermail Abyss Spike is also really great just because when it's one more special summon, discard a water monster to the grave and add a level 3 water monster from your deck to your hand. Just a lot of flexibility, a lot of great targets for this deck. Then we have the Exceed Slide Dolphin. This one's a little bit of a flex spot too. Same thing with the Armored Shark here. We can put them together where they enable some extra plays. If you've seen with the combos, there's a few combos that utilize these cards. They're great. When you see them, they could be a little bricky, so if you want to remove something, you could definitely remove these guys. Besides that, we have the Abyss Shrine, the Atlantean Spirit. That is pretty insane because it does have a graveyard effect that gives you some value during your opponent's turn. But mainly, you're going to be using it here in order to tribute hit itself from the hand and 1 Atlantean monster from either your hand or field. Usually, you're going to use it to target your Neptibus so that you're able to trigger Neptibus' effect. But then you can search out something like Abyss Duel and then continue your combos from there. Then we have Mermail Abyss Gun. If this card to the graveyard, you can target 1 Mermail monster in your graveyard, accept it, and special summon that target. And then I run 3 copies of Deep Sea Minstrel. This card just gets a good amount of value out of it. You're able to discard it and 1 water monster and look at your opponent's hand and banish 1 card from their hand face up into the end phase. So it could be great to just get removing a hand trap from your opponent's hand, and you're just able to play through whatever else you leave them. Then we have Mermail Abyss Socia. That is able to target a Mermail monster you control and special summon any number of level 4 or lower Mermail monsters from your deck whose levels combined are equal to or less than that number. So you could usually use this to just target your Abyss Duel. Then we can get the Mermail, 2 copies of Mermail Shadow Bodyguard, so you can definitely run the 3rd copy if you want. You see that I use this card in every combo just because it provides insane value. It's able to level modulate, and it's also sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect. You can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Atlantean or Mermail monster from your deck. Same value, you're usually going to use this to go into your Atlantean prints here. Then we have Deep Sea Sentry. If this card is sent to the graveyard to activate a water monster's effect, you can make your opponent banish 1 card from their hand face up into the end phase. It's not that great for that, but mainly if you're special summoning, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to grave and target 1 level 4 water monster in your grave and add it to your hand. So you can cycle some things that you want to discard, like a Dragoons. 2 copies of Heavy Infantry, just popping a face-up card your opponent controls could be nice. Atlantean Prince is one of your important starters in the deck, and so you really want to maximize seeing it, so 3 copies is a must. 1 copy of 1 for 1, so you can get out the Atlantean Prince. Called by the Grave for hand traps, 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet, just to break some boards. We have Abyss of the Mizuchi. There's different ones for each, for the spell, monster, and trap, but you mainly just want the spell one because your opponent can bait out this card by using the monsters, and with spells it's a lot harder. And then we have Abyss Things of Triana. This card is a monster reborn. It gives that monster a bunch of protection. It's just a great card to equip. And then we have 3 copies of Infinite Permanence as your hand trap, 2 copies of Dominus Impulse. It's a great new hand trap that's able to negate a summon, and the nice thing about it is that it doesn't lock water monsters or water decks. And then Virtue Stream, it's a Icarus attack for sea serpents, fish, and aqua monsters, and you're able to search it out. Alright guys, before I go to the extra deck, if you are enjoying the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and consider becoming a patron. For just $5 a month. You can get access to my Discord, and I can now provide some deck building advice. Besides that, there are other tiers that help influence the content I create and support the channel. But if not, there are combos that you guys can watch that help support the channel as well. But besides that, we're going to get started here with the Poseidra Abyss, the Atlantean Dragon Deity. This card is pretty powerful, but most of the time you're just going to be using this just to go into it and link it away in order to use the effect to bring a bunch of things onto the board. Besides that, once per turn, you can detach 2 materials from this card and send 1 water monster from your hand or deck to the grave, and return up to 3 cards from your opponent controls to the hand. So if you have the opportunity to, you're able to bounce a bunch of things and also get something into the grave. Then we have a Mermail Atlantean. This is able to negate your opponent's board. It's pretty insane if you set it up right. Xyz's Armor Fortress is great. You're going to be using this with the Xyz's Armor Torpedo, and you can set yourself with a decent board using this card, as you're going to see in a lot of the combos here. Then we have 2 copies of Bahamut Shark. This is just for the totally awesome. Number 4, Stealth Kraken is also a decent one that I like getting out occasionally, as it is able to turn your opponent's monsters into water monsters, which can make it very difficult for your opponent to play through it. Abyss Dweller, also locking your opponent out of their grave, is pretty annoying for them. The Virtue Stream is pretty nice just because you're able to get yourself your Virtue Stream. But not only that, you're able to attach a material most of the time to your Abyss Giles, just because you're going to be sending it to the grave anyways, and being able to attach a material onto it and making it active again is pretty solid. Totally Awesome is insane. Omni Negate that just steals stuff. World Sea Dragon Zelantis is a great link for if you're able to go into it and you need to, then there it is. Then we have 1 copy of Nephthybis the Royal Mermail. It's able to protect your other Nephthybis monsters, but not only that, it's obviously a great way of just searching out your Abyss cards, and usually you're going to be using its effect during your turn in order to get the Triana, bring out your Abyss Giles, and then use the effect during your opponent's turn in order to get the Mizuchi. Then we have 1 copy of Marincess Coral Anemone. It's a monster reborn, and it's a pretty good amount of targets for the deck. Then we have 1 copy of Mermail Abyss Lacia. If you need to go into this, it can give some attack boost, and it's able to also pitch something into the grave. Besides that, in the side deck, here are cards that I considered running but didn't end up going for. So in one of the combos, you saw me running Super Ancient Deep Sea King Silicanth. It's a solid monster, and I think it's pretty funny when you're just able to fill up your board with a lot, but it can be bricky at times. 1 copy of the Marksman. It pops a sack card, which is good, but not super great all the time. 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva. You just see 1 here, but you can use this to just normal summon and go into your Nephthybis. It is a solid card, and it also gives you access to your synchros, so definitely consider that. Besides that, I just wanted to go with a more pure build that doesn't necessarily rely on Deep Sea Diva, but it's still a great addition, and I might consider running it again. And then we have Ice Shade Gearmere Evergreen. This card is pretty annoying for your opponent to deal with, just because you're able to banish some things. Trishula again, if you're going to be running some tuners, then definitely it's going to be one you're going to want to run. Same thing with the Croco Dragon, just being able to pop a bunch of things and also get you some draws. Then we have Dragite as a Spell Trap Negate, and a White Aura Whale as your way of clearing your opponent's board by just destroying everything. Besides that, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.